Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Sunday morning. It is so good to see you. It is so good to be here with each and every one of you as we take this day and this time to remember and know the truth of who and whose we are, to celebrate our magnificence and significance, the magnificence and significance of God in, through, and as us. So I don't want to waste any time. Let's just begin with prayer. And so I invite you right here and right now, where you are, to just take a deep breath in. Breathe in and breathe out. And another time we breathe in and we breathe out. Now we take this time to breathe in and breathe out, not because it's spiritual or deep. We do this because this is an opportunity to bring ourselves to the present moment, here now. A whole host of things could have taken place before you connected in. And so we breathe in and breathe out. We are now, we are here, we are now. We are here. The past is gone, the future is yet to come, and we are here now. There is one mind, one power, one presence, and it is working in all, through all, and as all. It is working in us, through us, and as us. There is one life, and that life is our life now. This thing that I choose to call Mother, Father, God, I know is wisdom. I know it is intelligence. I know it is love. I know it is omnipresence. I know it is everywhere at all times. It is everywhere and everything. It is constantly encountered. It is here now because it neither comes nor goes. I know that Mother, Father, God is with me in the challenge, and it is with me in the victory. It is with me in the mountain. It is with me in the valley. It is with you in the challenge. It is with you in the victory. It is with you in the mountain. It is with you in the valley. And as I recognize that God is with us, I know that God is in us. God is through us. God is as us. For we are one with God and one of God. And it is out of this recognition of our oneness that I speak this word in faith, that this day, this time, this thing that we call the weekend service of CSC is blessed and is a blessing. It is prosperous and prospering. I know and declare right here and right now that each and every one of us will leave here differently than when we walked in. That the word, that the song, that the meditation, that some aspect of this gathering will be transformative, will be illuminating, will be heart opening, and we will see ourselves anew. We will see ourselves aright. We will see ourselves as the divine children of the divine. So it is out of this awareness and with excitement I release this prayer, knowing that it is heard, met, and received, and already being responded to at every level of the universe simultaneously. So with joy and thanksgiving, we enter into this service. With praise and thanksgiving, we enter into this service. With joy, knowing that something good is in front of us. Together we say, Amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
And so it is. So it
And
is.
so it is. So it must be.
is.
So it must be. So again, I say hello and welcome to each and every one of you. It is so good to see you. It's so good to be back here with you. We had a Sunday off.
Yeah.
One Sunday off. Sometimes it feels like multiple Sundays, but it's so good to be here. And I'm excited about what's coming forward. I'm excited about the word that's coming forward. You might have heard it in my prayer because I'm ready to go. But of course, we have some other things to do before we get to that. So we are happy to see you. We are happy to be here with you. And if you happen to be here for the first time, we want to take a special moment, of course, to say hello and welcome to you. Feel free to shout yourself out. Let us know where you're connecting in from. And we want to stay in touch with you. So you'll see the information here on your screen. It's very easy to stay in touch with us and join our mailing list. Just text the word welcome to 347-472-1078. Please just text the word welcome, though. And if you add emoji or smile or it's so awesome here, it's not going to work, because that's not how automated programs work.
We're glad to hear it, but
Right.
it doesn't help you get what you need.
So please just text the word welcome. Once you do that, you'll receive an automated reply with a URL. Tap that URL, enter your information, and submit the information. Once you've done that, you'll receive another text message saying you're all set and confirming that you're actually on our mailing list. If you do not see that final text saying you're all set, that means you're not all set. You're not on the mailing list. And so we're noticing that there's some folks that kind of get through that first process where you text welcome, but you don't complete the remainder of the process. And we can't add you to the mailing list without completing the remainder of that process. So again, we're happy to have you here. We're happy to see you. We know that you could stream in from so many places, and there's so many wonderful places and wonderful ministries that you can stream. But I know that if you're here today, that means that there is something that has been prepared for you in mind that is here for you to receive, and it will be a blessing. So with that, I think we can get into our announcements and talk about some of the things that's going on. We really don't have a lot of announcements today, and then we can go into the meditation and the message. Well, the first thing we want to let you know about is what happens every Wednesday morning here at CSC. It is the Momentum Prayer Call. We are a church that believes in prayer, founded on prayer, rooted and grounded in prayer. And so we come together every Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a wonderful time to connect and reconnect, to just set the tone and vibration for your day. We share a reading that day, usually the Daily Word or some other inspirational reading, and then we pray. Short call. It is also recorded. So if you can't make it at that time or you want to tap back into that vibration on multiple days, all you have to do is use the information you hear on your screen. You see on your screen, rather, enter the playback number and the access code and wait. And the most recent prayer will play. We also make space for prayer requests. And so we know that you may have something specific going on in your life and you want us and the prayer champions to hold and know the truth with you, to hold the high watch and see you moving through that challenge elegantly, see you moving through that challenge victoriously, or it may be a family member or a friend. All you have to do is just send us an email. prayerchampions@celebrationsc.org. It is received by Pastor Yolanda, it's received by me and all of our prayer champions, and we literally hold the high watch. We literally see and know the truth with and for you. As we say so many weeks, when you're submitting that prayer request, see yourself releasing it, letting it go. Last month, and we got game class, we talked about casting the burden, right? So even as you're sending this prayer request, then affirm, I cast this burden on the mind of God and I go free, right? Very, very, very important.
And when your prayer is answered, we also like to hear that as well. So please let us know. We hold the high watch, but it's always good to celebrate with you when a prayer is answered.
Absolutely, absolutely. And on the third Sunday, which will be next Sunday, July 18th, it's God Talk Sunday. This is an opportunity for you to get your questions answered. We know and we really foresaw as we were creating CSC that there would be a need to have a space and a forum to answer questions. Many people that come to CSC have come to New Thought philosophy and the New Thought movement for the first time. It sounds good, it feels good, but now how do I apply it to my life? I always joke, PYPG, y'all don't know my life. Like this stuff is cool, but I have this real challenge. I have this real opportunity in front of me. How do I apply these principles?
Right. And if you can't apply it, then it's not the right thing for you. So it needs to be practical. We teach practical spirituality.
Yes.
And it's important that you be able to bring your questions to some place and have those questions responded to help you hold it, know the truth, and move through any situation so that you can integrate these teachings and not just read these teachings.
Yes. So join us next Sunday at 1 p.m. Following service. Because we are virtual, it is happening on Zoom, and we share the Zoom link and password via email. So this is why you want to be on our mailing list. If this sounds interesting to you, the only way you'll get the connection information is being on our mailing list. You'll see that information again. I'll just bring up the graphic now. But you'll see that information again throughout the broadcast. Just text the word welcome to 347-472-1078 and follow the instructions as I talked about earlier. And then you'll definitely be on our mailing list. And then our weekly email that goes out on Friday, you'll see the information for the God Talk right there. I think that's actually our final announcement for today.
Short announcements today.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. So that means that it is time for meditation. And so I leave you into the very capable hands of PY.
Look at this beautiful view, this beautiful ocean. Many of us love to spend our time on the beach. We vacation, we think about, we enjoy what it looks like to see an ocean, to hear the sounds of an ocean. And we remember the beauty of this ocean that God created, and we stand in awe of it. But we forget. We are as God created us as well. No matter what's happened in our lives, no matter the wanted or the unwanted, we remain as God created us. And as if we can admire the beauty, and we can feel the sun, and we can sit and watch the sun rise or set, and know that God created those things, we've got to remember that God created us as well. And why is that important? Because usually in the middle of the challenge, in the middle of the fear, doubt, and worry, we forget that we're connected, and we forget that we have been created by infinite intelligence that doesn't forget, that knows the truth of us and holds it eternally. So as it holds us in our beauty and splendor eternally, let us now acknowledge our own beauty and splendor. Let us affirm this month, I am as God created me. This is our affirmative thought. This is what we bring ourselves back to when we want to criticize ourselves, when we want to hold on to our mistakes. Nothing we have ever done could separate us from this love, this creative force of the truth of these words. So let's use these words, this affirmative thought this month. The waves go out, the waves come back in, and they still remain as God created them. So let's go ahead and prepare for our meditative time. Look around you and notice where you are. In your home, seated upright in a chair, on your bed, on the sofa. Wherever you find yourself, know that you are safe. And from this place of safety, go ahead and relax the shoulders down, shoulders over hips. And notice how subtle that movement, that change, that alignment begins to bring everything together. Our thoughts, our breath, and our being all remain as God created it. And as we look around and notice we're safe, let's take a couple seconds here to open and close the eyes. And notice that each time we open the eyes and close the eyes, we settle a little bit more. So let's practice now. Go ahead, close the eyes. Notice the breath. And let the eyes settling settle the body and the mind. Now nice and easy, open the eyes. Nice soft gaze, no strain. And close the eyes again. Each time we relax the eyelids, we send a signal to the brain that we too can relax. Last time, open the eyes. No strain, nice soft gaze. And close the eyes, settling into the beautiful surroundings we find ourselves in. And maybe the ocean still is in our minds. But more importantly, our affirmative thought is in our mind. I am as God created me. I relax in the knowingness. And now I notice the breath that was given to me. The breath that was orchestrated by divine mind. The breath that is at my disposal, right here and now. Let's just notice. No forcing, no judgment. Just notice. Just like the waves going out and coming back in, our breath follows the same cycle. And just as there is no strain on the ocean waves, there is no strain within us. For we are as God created us. Last round of breath to just notice. Whether it is a deep breath or the appearance of a shallow breath, it is breath, it is God moving through us now. And now let's together take conscious control of this breath and send it into the low belly now. Inhale, and as you inhale, expand the low belly for a count of 4. Inhale. Hold it there. And release for a count of 4, relaxing the jaw and sending the breath out. Again, in through the low belly. Count to 4, nice and easy. Hold it there. And release. Elongating the breath now in through the low belly, up through the rib cage, connecting the low belly to the rib cage, expanding the front and the sides and the back of the body, making room. Hold it there. Open the mouth, relax, sigh it out. Following that path in through the low belly, up through the rib cage, expanding, making room for more breath, more God, more knowing. Hold it there. We may notice the beating of the heart, but we sigh out the breath. In through the low belly, breath moves up through the rib cage, up through the heart, center of the chest, across the chest, shoulders relax back and down. Hold it there. And sigh it out. There's something beautiful about the path of breath in through the low belly, up through the rib cage, up through the heart, creating a new set point, a new reality, a new understanding that we are as God created us. Hold it there. And sigh it out, nice and easy. In and up, full cycle of breath in. Hold it at the top. And this time, close the lips and exhale through the nostrils. Let's practice a few rounds of this full, relaxing breath, of this knowingness on our own. In through the low belly, all the way up through the heart, that healing space. Holding it at the top and exhaling through the nose when we're ready. Each round reminds us. Each round centers us. Each round is the truth of us. We are as God created us. Practice a few rounds here. As I breathe in and out, I make room. I relax. I send the signal to my brain that there is nothing to fear, for God is here and I am as God created me. Nothing to stress about, nothing to worry about, only God to be felt. Last round. And now with our eyes closed, sending that breath, that energy, that relaxation into the low belly and then down into the feet. Notice the toes. Notice if there's any gripping or holding. Relax the toes. Relax the heels. Surrender the feet into this mind that created us, for it can hold. We don't have to. Beautiful, sending that energy up through the ankles. Relax the ankles. We don't realize how much we grip and hold, how much we carry, how much we worry, how much fear we may be in throughout the week. But now we give ourselves permission to remember. Sending that energy up through the shins and the calves. Relax the shins. Relax the calves. We feel grounded. We feel connected because we are. Sending that energy across the knees, we bend, we align, we surrender, and we remember. We are not separate from this source. Relax the knees and accept the flow. Energy flows across the thighs, hamstrings, and glutes. Notice if there's any tension there. Relax the thighs, the hamstrings, the glutes. Sending that energy into the hip sockets, our seat of joy. They open and align. I am as God created me. God created me perfect, whole, and complete. And that's how I remain. I allow this perfection to gather at the base of my spine. I see it in my mind's eye, and I begin to align with this subtle body, this energetic field. And as this energy flows up, unobstructed, we feel alignment. We allow it, and we know we are, as we have always been, one with the one. Let it flow now, in, through, and up. Up, 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 up and out the top of our head, activating our crown. That energy is flowing now. Out the crown and connecting us one to the other. I am as God created me. This simple truth enables me to remember my power, my freedom, my joy. And now let's give permission for this energy to flow back down, crossing the third eye, activating the throat so that we can remember and affirm I am as God created me, across the shoulders, and now down the arms, out the fingertips. Feel yourself completely open, energy flowing, no obstruction. If you like, turn the palms up to receive more. And if the palms are turned up, notice that slight kiss of breath across the palm. Shoulders are relaxed back and down. Or if you want, you can turn the palms down. Same relaxed shoulders, same alignment, same truth. Let's scan the body one last time. And notice if we're holding anywhere, if we're burdened by anything, if we've forgotten our connection anywhere. Give permission for connection and relaxation. For you are as God created you. As we prepare for our silent time, I will monitor. You enjoy the internal awareness, the internal connection. If the mind wanders, it's okay. Bring it back, lovingly, gently, and truthfully, as you affirm, I am as God created me. Let that ring throughout your body and experience. The next time you hear my voice, it will be to gently bring you back. But for now, enjoy the truth of your being. I am as God created me now. With our eyes still closed, we notice how good it feels to just pause and remember the truth. I am as God created me. A Course in Miracles says, if we but still ourselves to this truth, this simple affirmation can silence our ego, our worry, our doubt, our fear, and bring us back into alignment. That same beauty and truth of the ocean is the same beauty and truth of us. For we were created and connected to the same source. With our eyes closed, we feel it so truthfully and viscerally. And we allow that truth to slowly begin to bring us back. Back here, more powerful. Back here, more peaceful. And back here, more in love with the truth of our being. Let's slowly, with our eyes closed, begin to elongate the breath. Noticing that this full breath is connected to the peace within us, the joy and creativity within us, the light within us. Let's just take another round to notice, no rush. If the palms are turned up, go ahead and turn them down. Nice, easy movement, nothing jarring. And as we feel the palms on the tops of the thighs, let that sensation, a gentle movement back and forth, begin to wake the thighs, the knees, the shins and calves. Gentle, easy connection to this body. As we connect to the body, we remain connected to the one mind. Stop the movement, allow the shoulders to relax and settle. Plant the palms, draw the shoulders up by the ears, nice and easy. Release the breath, shoulders relax back and down. Going out and coming in, drawing the shoulders up by the ears and back. Releasing the breath as the shoulders relax down. Last time. Inhale. The shoulders back. Relax the breath and the shoulders relax down. From this place of alignment, bring the palms together. Touch the thumbs into the sternum. Nice and easy bowing of the head, chin towards the fingertips. Noticing the breath flowing across the fingers. I am as God created me. I remain as God created me. Nothing and no one can separate me from this love and this truth. For I could not be more worthy or more loved by God. I allow this to be my reality now. Slowly flutter the eyes open, taking in a point in front of you, no strain on the eyes. Nice easy gaze as you inhale, raising the chin, raising the gaze. Release the breath. Namaste.
Yes, yes. Namaste. Thank you, PY.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, of course, we completed our masterclass. We got game a few weeks ago. So we are back in sort of our normal virtual weekend service. That means we get to hear from Soul 21 today, singing a song that I love. And after that, then I will be bringing a message. We're going to deal with a specific idea over these last 3 weeks of July. And I'm looking forward to teaching and supporting you, and I pray that it meets you where you are. So let's hear from Soul 21, and then we'll get into the word.
Your name is royalty. Your name is faith. Your name is freedom. Your name is success. Your name is healed. Your name is rich. Your name is royalty. So celebrate with us as we celebrate with you and affirm our name. Everybody, put your hands right there. Yeah. So 21, y'all ready? All right, here we go. My name is faith.
My name is faith.
My name
My name
is freedom.
is freedom.
My name
Yes. I have decided to live according to my name. Thank you, Soul 21. As I said, that's a favorite of mine, always been a favorite of mine. I remember when I wrote that, it was actually, and I saw the brother was actually there that Sunday. There was a musician, composer who was talking about his literal royalties, musical royalties, and being in that period of time. For those of you that don't know, royalties are paid quarterly, and so you can get that big check, and then you got to live off of it, right? And he was in this between time because he was really nervous because he didn't know, what the next check would be, and he was scared that he might squander the money. And one of the things that we spoke to him that day was to remember that he's actually royalty. And out of that conversation is where that song came from. My name is royalty. My name is rich. My name is success. My name is abundance. My name is healed in body and mind. My name is royalty. Say my name and say it right. I am a child of God. I am the light. Well, good morning again. Hello to those of you who we didn't get to say hello and welcome to earlier if you're just joining us. Happy to be here. Happy to share with you this morning. We do, again, have a wonderful idea, a wonderful message to share with you today. And I pray that it meets you where you are. It is going to be good and awesome. So one of my absolute favorite things this past year has been watching the final season of Pose. Right? Pose is definitely one of my favorite shows. I'm sure many of you, it's your favorite show. If you love Pose, say yes, shout it out in the comments. We all have our favorite characters. I love Pose because it has done something so dynamic in a beautiful and powerful way, something that I never thought would happen. To be able to have this beautiful conversation with my mom, who fell in love with Pose. She's checked it out because my sister and I were talking about it. She watched the first season on Netflix and loved it so much that she bought the second season just so she could watch it in real time. And, one of the things she said, I really didn't know anything about the trans community. I just didn't know. And so her heart is so open, and she feels and sees the love. And of course, she sees the community in such a beautiful and powerful way. And that's just one story. I know that Pose has done so much, of course, for trans folks and LGBT folks around the world to feel seen and heard. Dwayne Wade tells a beautiful story of how watching Pose with his daughter has been very impactful and powerful. So we love Pose, and Pose is doing wonderful things. And in this past season, this final season, all of the characters between the first two seasons, we've kind of learned their origin story. In this particular season, we've gotten the origin story of Pray Tell. We get to see where he came from and his home and the things that shaped him. And, we meet his mother and his aunts. And there's a powerful moment. There was a powerful moment and a powerful conversation in that episode of Pray Tell's origin story that stuck with me. It stuck with me, and it was so just powerful that I wrote it down. I wrote the dialogue down, and it was just. But there's one moment where he's having a conversation with his mom, and she asks him a question. She says, "How is he? I mean, what's he like, your God?" And Pray Tell, as he's laying there in his mother's arms with tears, he says, "He is kind. He is loving. He is forgiving. That is the God that's inside of me." Now, for so many reasons, this conversation is powerful, and I encourage you to go and watch the episode. But this question that his mother asks, how is he? I mean, what's he like, your God? It's a very powerful question. It's an illuminating question, and it's also a vulnerable question. Now, why do I say vulnerable? It's vulnerable because she was open to the possibility that there was another way to see God. And she was also inferring by asking the question that she realized that her God may need to be changed or reframed. But what is also powerful is Pray Tell's answer. When he says he is kind, he is loving, he is forgiving, that's the God that's inside of me. Because given Pray Tell's experience, given his life experience as a gay man and the rejection that he faced at the hands of the church folk and the church folk in his family and in the town that he grew up in, he could have rejected God, as so many have. Given the loss of so many loved ones in the midst of the AIDS epidemic and where we have met these characters in the 80s and 90s and recognizing that the epidemic that was taking place at the time, it seemed like there was no hope and that a diagnosis was a death sentence, he could have said, there cannot be a God if a God would allow this. But instead of rejecting God, he rejected the narrative about God that others use to reject and persecute him. Instead of rejecting God, he rejected the belief that God is vengeful and brings wrath upon humanity when they disobey God. Instead of rejecting God, he rejected the narrative that God would ever or could ever reject its children. This scene revealed so much about what was going on in the heart and mind of Pray Tell and his mother. But of course, they are fictional characters, and what they think about God and truth doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of your life or my life. Yes, yes? And so I wonder, if someone were to ask you today, tell me about your God. What is your God like? What would your answer be? Now, I know we're virtual. I know many of us are all alone. You might not be watching with somebody. If you are watching with somebody, I want you to turn to that neighbor and say, tell me about your God. And if you're not connected in with somebody, then just put it in the chat. Tell me about your God. You can even tag or at somebody in the comments. Tell me about your God. If someone were to ask you that question, tell me about your God. What is your God like? What would your answer be? Now, for the next Sundays, this 3 Sundays, for the rest of this month, we're going to be looking at a truth statement. And we're going to look at this truth statement from several vantage points. It's a statement that I first encountered when I read Only Good Can Come Out of This by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Many of you may know him. He's a wonderful New Thought teacher, powerful New Thought teacher, has written many texts, and I know that many people love and enjoy and really live according to his perspective of New Thought philosophy. And in that text, I read this truth statement: act as though I am, and I will be. Now, I use this statement every day. It's something that I do in my journaling. My journaling is my creative workshop, right? And so I'm using that time, whether I'm writing out my prayer or whether I'm writing out my vision for my life, I'm literally creating. Writing is creating. And so what I do, I write the date, I write creative workshop, and then I write act as though I am, and I will be. And then I begin my writing. In the book, Only Good Can Come Out of This, Joseph Murphy uses this phrase, and that's the name of the section. He uses it in a very specific way. What he's essentially teaching is act as if. And basically he's saying, act as if you're already there and you will be there, right? He uses a story, which I think I've shared before, about a woman who can't decide. She wants to move and she's not sure which city she should move to. And so he invites her to go in mind as though she has already made the right decision. She's already made the perfect decision, the best decision. And from that place, you're there in the place of accomplishment, and then that will lead you into the choice that you should make. So that's how he's using it. Act as though I am, and I will be. Act as if you're already there, and you will be there. That's powerful, right? That's helpful. I'm sure that's probably going to help somebody right here and right now as you're at a point of decision. But while this is a beneficial teaching, I saw something more behind it. And as I began to dig, I found that its origins in terms of New Thought can be found in the writings of Emma Curtis Hopkins in her book, High Mysticism, Studies in the Wisdom of the Sages of the Ages. Now, who is Emma Curtis Hopkins? I encourage you, if you don't know about her, go to our What is New Thought series. That very first message, I tried it for myself, where I talk about those beautiful souls that are at the heart and beginning of the New Thought movement. Now, Emma Curtis Hopkins is called the teacher of teachers. Why is she called the teacher of teachers? Because she taught Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, because she taught Dr. H. Emily Cady, someone we quote all the time. I particularly, we love Emily Cady at CSC. She taught Melinda Kramer, who's the founder of Divine Science. And she also taught Ernest Holmes, who is the writer of The Science of Mind, right? And the founder of Religious Science. So this is why she is the teacher of teachers. It also then makes sense why Joseph Murphy would then be hearkening back to this root teaching, right? But in high mysticism, Emma Curtis Hopkins writes this: "Is it not promised, act as though I were, and thou shalt know I am?" And she quotes it, which means that she is not the source of this. Is it not promised, act as though I were, and thou shalt know I am? Okay. And so if she's quoting this, where is Emma Curtis Hopkins hearing this from? And so it takes us to the story of a woman by the name of Lady Henry Somerset, who lived between 1851 and 1921. And she's a woman that's considered someone that was working early in the feminist movement before the feminist movement was named the feminist movement, right? She believed in women's rights and was doing lots of work to support and protect women and young girls. And she found herself at a difficult point in her life. She had gone through a divorce, and she had gone through a pretty rough custody battle. Ultimately ended up winning custody of her son, but at this time and the nature of what was going on and what had taken place in her marriage, she was basically shunned by her community. Husbands would not allow their wives to entertain her or hang out with her in any way. And so she was really going through a rough patch, a tough time in her life. She was very low. And it was at this moment, according to this one biographer, it was here that she had a moment of divine revelation, right? She's in this place of contemplation. She's in this place of challenge. She's in this place of being ostracized. As she sat under the shade of a tree by the Prairie Lake, weighed down by worries, she queried the very existence of God. Then, as she later recounted, she heard a voice as if from deep within herself saying, "Act as if I am, and thou shalt know I am." Act as if I am, and thou shalt know I am. Now, these are three phrases that are pointing to the same thing. Now, one, I think this is for me, and as just in studying, and I think I know I get a lot of this from the studying practices that I learned in seminary. It's interesting to see how language changes and morphs, right? That's pointing to the same thing, but different, right? From Somerset, we have act as if I am, and thou shalt know I am. From Hopkins, we have act as though I were, and thou shalt know I am. And then Murphy, we have act as though I am, and I will be. Tell me about your God. Some of you, when asked this question, might give a perfect textbook New Thought answer. You'll hit every note and prove that you studied the principles, proven that you've probably read H. Emily Cady or Joseph Murphy or Charles and Myrtle Fillmore or Ernest Holmes or A Course in Miracles, right? It'll sound really good. You'll hit every note. But your God is not what you say God is. Your God is what you believe God is. And what you believe is always out picturing as your life. Many of you have heard me say this often, that the sum total of what you believe to be true is your God. And so when you hear this statement, act as though I am and I will be, Act as though I were. Act as if I am. Acting, before you can act, there must be a thought. Yes, yes. Before an action, there must be a thought. So Murphy's act as if teaching, as I said earlier, it's beneficial, but there's something more, because God becomes what we think God is. And this is what this idea is encouraging us to think about. This is what I saw. And again, as I began to dig, I found this is really the root of it. Act as though I were, and thou shalt know I am. It's telling us this thing that we talk about in New Thought all the time, that God is substance and that it fills the molds. And whatever mold you give to God, it fills. If I fill a mold that is the unworthiness mold, substance fills it. If I create a mold of the worthiness mold, substance fills it. If I create a mold of there is not enough, substance fills it. If I create a mold of there is more than enough, substance fills it, right? Just as if I had made batter for a cake, it doesn't matter what kind of mold, right? It's summer right now, but if I put cake batter into Christmas tree molds, it's going to give me Christmas trees. It's not going to say, well, actually, nobody's really trying to eat Christmas cakes right now, right? Nobody, it wouldn't do that because it complies to the mold that I give it. God becomes what we think God is. And as I was preparing for this, I was thinking about this. I don't know if y'all did this when you were kids. I know that I did it. My sister and I did it. And I see children do it now. Think about the imagination of a child playing with a broom. A broom can become almost anything, right? A broom can become a horse. That's something we see kids riding around like they're riding a horse, or it could be a car, or it could be a spaceship. If you're like me, it could become, when I was a kid, it became a lightsaber. It could become a beam to cross hot lava, right? In your bedroom or in your living room, right? It could become a microphone stand. This is what act as though I am and I will be is really all about, because we recognize as children, you couldn't tell us any different. We created a world and our imagination made it so. That broom was a horse. That broom was a motorcycle. That broom was a spaceship. That broom was a microphone stand. And this is what we are being invited to understand when it comes to how we talk about and think about God. Just as the broom becomes what the child thinks it is, so God becomes what we think God is. When we hear the true statement from source, act as though I am and I will be, it's an invitation and a teaching on how the law, how God itself works. And as we get into the remainder weeks, we're gonna talk about this a little more, of understanding what this is all about and how we can make use of it, right? We talk about what God is and how it works, right? And then how we can make use of it. God becomes what we think God is. And so then this is where the phrases and the statements start to become more illuminating, particularly from Somerset. Act as if I am, and thou shalt know I am. What it's saying is that this is the only way that you can ever actually come into a full awareness of who and what God is, come into a full awareness of an experience of God. PY always reminds us of that in meditation, right? That we have to experience God. Doesn't matter how much we've read. It doesn't matter what we can quote. Meaningless, right? Just as those molds that I just talked about making Christmas cakes, I could talk about that all I want and how sweet it is and delicious and whatever the flavors are. You got to experience it to know it. You got to experience it to know it. Tell me about your God. So your assignment this week is to take some time out to think about who and what your God truly is. Not what you've read. I don't want you to, take some time and contemplate and write down, well, what did Emily Cady say? Oh, well, what did I read in the Science of Mind? Oh, well, what did the Daily Word say today? Or what did the Yanla say? What did Marianne Williams say? What did A Course in Miracles say? just seriously, just write down, like, who is my God? One of the things you can do, it's an assignment we give all the time, and particularly I always give it in the prayer class. For that first step, God is, right? We have to develop names for God. And what I've found is that this exercise really, really can tell you something about who and what you think God is, right? Tell me about your God. Okay, well, then fill up a page with names for God. Just as Pray Tell was able to say God is kind, loving, and forgiving, and also that God is inside of him, right? Powerful. What are your words for God? Divine intelligence, creative intelligence, perfect love, life, joy, healing, the provider, my provider, right? What are the words? What are the words? Because you will find that if you're searching for words, that could be illuminating, right? That could be illuminating in terms of, oh wait, I actually don't have any affirming words that I connect to God. You know, I've talked about this often. You know, for years I stopped using the word God, and I thought I was being smart. I thought I was being clever, because I didn't want to be. I felt that the word God itself was being misused, right? So I didn't want to be associated with a God that was wrathful or vengeful or judgmental. I didn't want to be associated with that God, so I didn't use the word. But I also didn't replace the word, right? I also hadn't fully articulated who and what God is to me, right? So if someone said, tell me about your God, I would have started with what God is not. Right. And so that's really where, for a period of time in my life, that's where I was living. Right. And we know the principle: don't talk about what you don't want. Right. Talk about what you want. But again, this can be revelatory. If someone says, tell me about your God, and you're immediately talking about what God is not, then that's really what God still is for you. Right. And that's one of the reasons, again, why I love this beautiful scene and conversation between Pray Tell and his mom. He said, he is kind. He is loving. He is forgiving. That's the God that's inside of me, right? That's a lived, felt, now reality, right? And so after you take that time to just write out and think about who and what is God. Tell me about your God. And again, if you find yourself starting with the God is not, that's illuminating, because that means that's still what's present. That's still what you're pushing against, right? You don't want that to be true, right? But that if you're talking about it, you're keeping it in your experience. Now, after you've done that, then what I want you to do is to go to a text. I want you to go to Lessons in Truth by Dr. H.M. Lee Cady. Right, this is a text that we've used and studied many times. I pray that you already have it in your library. If you don't, then you can go get it. But go to the second lesson, statement of being, who and what God is, and what man or humanity is. Why do I invite you to go there? Because then this gives you something to start to work from. Because as you've written out and determined, without any judgment, right? Tell me about your God, who and what your God is right now. Then see how it reflects against this truth that H.M. Lee Cady is writing about. After you read the lesson, ask yourself, does my life reflect this God? Right? Because Emily Cady, she writes about the fact that God is wisdom and intelligence, that God is love, right? That God is omnipresence, right? He is omnipotence. He is all power, right? And of course, that we are one with it and one of it, right? And she uses the beautiful example of a drop of the ocean and the full ocean itself. We are not the complete ocean. But if you took a glass of the ocean, you would say, this is the ocean, even though it's not the whole ocean, right? So that is the same truth between the two of us. The other thing that's important to do. When you're thinking about who and what God is to you, tell me about your God. It's also important to be honest with yourself, even before looking at Emily Katie's words. Again, you may write out the perfect words, the perfect answer, right? The textbook answer, that the exam question answer, right? But then, okay, God is love. How is that showing up in through and as your life, right? Does love hold you to your past mistakes that you keep holding yourself to that you made in 2001, right? Does love do that? Because if you're doing something like that, then you don't know that God is love yet. Because God is on another page, not holding you to those wrongs, but you are. So you don't know that God is love yet, because you would accept that unconditional love, that forgiving love, right? Pray tell said God is kind, right? Okay. And if God is kind, how is kindness showing up in your life, and particularly within your own self? That's the other truth, right? Act as though I am and I will be. And I said thinking has to happen before action. That's just the truth. Even though thinking happens at, split seconds, so we don't realize I'm thinking move my arm before I move my arm. Well, your relationship with yourself is also a reflection of your relationship with God, or who you understand God to be. Right? Remember, we are made in the image and likeness of God. And unfortunately, what we have continued to do as humanity is continue to try to understand God as human. Right? And so we're constantly putting all of these human attributes on God. But it's the other way around. We're made in the likeness and image of God. And so part of what's happening in this experience of life, it's that motif that we see so often in the fairy tales of the young prince or the young princess that was either taken away or hidden away. And so they didn't know that they were royalty, right? They were raised by somebody else, sometimes someone sinister, sometimes just by somebody else. For instance, this is the same motif that we see in Star Wars, where Luke Skywalker is raised by his aunt and uncle, right? Not knowing that he actually is the son of a princess, not knowing that he's the son of Darth Vader, right? So he was put aside for safe, so that he would be kept safe, right? But he grew up thinking he was just this kind of little nomadic, sand person, right? And he had all of this other amazing pedigree going on. And so this is our opportunity in life. This is why we see that archetype show up in stories all the time, because we have this opportunity to come to know ourselves of who we actually are, right? But again, what we tend to do is we're trying to understand the divine and understand God itself through this limitation, putting human attributes on God. And that's not who and what God is. So again, after you read the lesson, ask yourself, does my life reflect this God? That's important. Not just do my beliefs reflect this God? Does my life reflect this God? Am I acting as though this God is real and true? The conversation between Pray Tell and his mom reflected some inner work on both of their parts. Are you willing to be vulnerable like Pray Tell's mom, realizing that your God may need to change? And what's beautiful is it was motivated by love. It was motivated by the love of her son. Are you willing to admit that your God has only brought judgment and rejection and pain and rage? Are you willing to be open to new possibilities? Are you willing to fully know and embrace the truth as Pray Tell did, although people, even people he loved the most, who claimed to love God, that God itself had not rejected him? Are you willing to know God for yourself? Are you willing to, as PY always invites us to experience God? See, before we can act, we must think and believe. Act as though I am and I will be. Tell me about your God. And with that, I say amen, ashe, and so it is. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes. Your definition of God determines your relationship with God, your knowingness of God. It's interesting that we say one thing and we really believe another. Our life is a reflection of that relationship. If we are still holding on to our past beliefs about ourselves, then the God that we say we believe in ain't the God that's operating in our lives. We want the two to be the same. We want our definition of God to be the same God that we experience.
Yes, yes.
That's what we want. And if it is not, then we need to throw it out and create one, know one, experience one, live from one that fits that definition, that understanding, that God concept. Because it is important. You will not go to, rely on, connect with something that is in opposition to your belief system. Those core beliefs. Get your beliefs and your God concept together and allow that God to be the God that you experience, that you create from, that you live connected to.
Yes, yes.
It's so important. Tell us about your God. And if you've never talked about it or thought about that answer, take some time this week to do it. It's so important. It's one of the things we had to do. I know I had to do personally. What I wanted God to be wasn't what I thought God was. I had to do some cleanup work to align the two. I had to say, oh yeah, I'd like for God to be loving, but in truth, I don't believe that it could love me when I did X, Y, Z. One of those things is not like the other. We got to clean it up, find a definition that works, forgive ourselves for what we've been taught or learned about God, and find God for ourselves.
Yes, yes.
That's the God that we want to develop a relationship with and experience our connection to. Thank you, PG.
Yes, yes. You're welcome. And remember, God is always acting. God is always being based on what you're already thinking and believing. And that's, again, why I said it's an invitation and it's the principle, right? Act as though I am and I will be. God is always beingness. Life is playing out, right? And so, many of us think God is testing us, God is judging us, and so that's what plays out.
Yeah.
But God is neither judging nor judgmental. And in truth, if Pray Tell was a member of CSC, we would talk about the fact that God doesn't forgive because God doesn't condemn, right? But as I said earlier, Pray Tell is not a real character. But shout out to Will, by the way. I forgot to say that. Will Palin, our brother Will, a.k.a. Will Stone, who's actually in that episode. So wonderful to see him. So if you haven't seen that episode, go back just so you can see Will. So it is time for giving. You see the information here on your screen. And of course, we invite you to give what feels good. And why do we say that? Because on one level, that sounds like, oh, just give what you can. And that's not what we're saying when we say give what feels good. That statement is rooted in principle. It's rooted in the understanding, one, that unfortunately, when it comes to any type of giving, charitable giving, giving to a ministry, giving to some type of organization, people give out of shame and guilt. Oh, I should give. Oh, I really should help. Oh, they're really doing good things. Oh, I guess right? People give out of that energy all the time. And what we know to be true metaphysically is it's the energy that life or the universe responds to. Act as though I am and I will be, right? And so we continue to, if we give from any sense of shame or guilt or, oh, I should, or, all of that energy, we're actually planting that in the subconscious of our mind, and that's showing up and playing out in our lives in certain ways, right? I will be, that's the out picturing. And so when we say give what feels good, we're saying find your joy number. We're saying find that amount that feels good to you that you give, and it's void of shame, it's void of guilt, but it's full of a knowingness of abundance. It's full of a knowingness that God is your source, and every channel of income is a resource. It's full of a knowingness that as you give, you receive. It's full of a knowingness that there's this circulation happening. That's what giving what feels good means when we say that. And we know beyond a shadow of a doubt, we've seen it in your lives. We've seen it in our lives. There's just story after story, testimony after testimony of what this giving what feels good does. So you see, it's very easy to give at CSC. You can go to our website, celebrationsc.org/give, or just go to the website and scroll down to the giving section. You can also text to give, 347-744-9500. Text your dollar amount to that number. There's a $10 minimum to give. That's still my favorite way to give because it's quick, it's easy, it's convenient. I also have my recurring donation set up because that helps me know that I'm always giving from a place of love and joy and right in the flow, because I want to keep my hands open. I don't know if y'all know about that, right? If you wanted somebody to give you something, your hand would have to be open, right? So as I give, my hand is open so I can receive and give and receive. Yes, yes. And so we appreciate your gifts. We love each and every one of you. And we appreciate your support of CSC, which allows us to continue to do what we do in this form and fashion. And so when we give out of this consciousness, then we can affirm together this truth. All the money that I use returns to me multiplied. In a never-ending cycle. Of increase. And enjoyment. So with that, we are complete for today. We love and appreciate you all. Hope that you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Enjoy it in whatever way you choose to. Enjoy the summer because it is awesome. It's the best season of the year.
Somebody's got a birthday coming up this week on Wednesday. Would that be peachy?
Yes. Yeah. So again, we love y'all. We appreciate you. Enjoy your day, and we will do the same. We will see you on Wednesday morning on the prayer call, or we'll see you right back here next week at 11 a.m.
Sounds good.
All right.
Love you all.
Bye for now.
Have an amazing week, everybody.